So, did WWE properly honor the legacy of these various tag teams? Let's find out. I'm John Redden with my real lost thoughts on WWE's 50 Greatest Tag Teams Part 2. This will not be as long as Part 1 because I covered the first half of the list from 50 to 25, so this will be from 24 to 11, because I'm going to save the top 10 for Part 3, because I got a lot of shit to say about that. I do know the entire list, but I just decided to, well, I finally got to this because I've been busy with so many projects and work and everything, so I apologize for the delay. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this list in the comments, please. So number 24, the APA. Okay, they had humble beginnings, not just as single stars, but when they became the Acolytes, and they had the weird writing on their chests, and they were part of the ministry and then the corporate ministry. They got away from that, thankfully, because both those stables were kind of absolutely motherfucking shit. But at least wrestling is not as stable crazy as it was back in the 90s. Oh, wait. It's way too stable crazy now, no matter what company. But anyway, enough about that. Once they became the APA and they became these, the hired, protection and everything, hence Acolyte Protection Agency, and they did the comedy, drinking the beer, smoking the cigars, playing poker, I'll be damned, and Bradshaw being in his best role, besides him being a natural prickish heel in and out of the ring when he was WWE champion. And they addressed that. I mean, not necessarily addressing his prickish behavior, but I will at some point. So anyway, this was a great way to utilize Farouk, Ron Simmons, who was on the downside of his career because he'd been wrestling for so goddamn long, had his injuries, and had his peaks. And it wasn't like, oh, he couldn't do anything anymore, but naturally injuries would take hold. And this gave him some new life and some new longevity. And it helped Bradshaw because Bradshaw was part of a lot of messy shit. He was Justin Hawk Bradshaw. He was part of the new Blackjacks, which didn't work at all. At fucking all. It was a bad idea. It was a way to have Barry Windham basically kind of use Barry Windham to shit all over the legacy of the Blackjacks because, man, they just didn't care about tag teams at that point. But anyway, they would do the stuff where like, oh, you pay us enough money, we'll protect you. They did the stuff with poker and, and I barely know her. And then they had the thing with the door, like, use the key, close the door, there's a draft in here. It was some good comedy, and they were part of some really, memorable skits and memorable moments and everything. When their music hit, the crowd blew. Not just in the Attitude Era, but, shortly after that. In the Invasion angle that I'm currently retro-reviewing now, they got some big pops because they still meant something. And they would break up eventually in early 2004 because Ron Simmons was retiring. Even though he would do a few appearances and he would do a few matches, he was mostly retired by that point. And then Bradshaw would become the millionaire, the $1 million man variation that Vince McMahon always wanted to be, and he was made WWE champion for way too fucking long, but yeah, then he was, prick in and out of the ring. He chased Mexicans away from the border. Boy, that aged well. It was funny, but it also was oh boy. But as far as a tag team, they are very memorable, and naturally they should be, I would have ranked them a little bit higher in all honesty, but it makes sense given some of the other tag teams ahead of them. Except for maybe a couple. Number 23, the Blackjacks. Lanza and Mulligan. Yeah, absolutely. Multi-time tag team champions. They were great single stars as well. Mulligan was, I think, more of a memorable single star, all due respect to Lanza. But they were great. They were really, really fucking great. Like, it's hard not to respect the living fuck out of the Blackjacks, especially what they meant in the 70s. And not just in WWE, but that's obviously where they made their mark. And since it's a WWE-centric list, they were, tag team champions, meant a lot, made those titles mean something. And during the WWF days, they were big goddamn deals. So the Blackjacks absolutely should be, on anybody's, favorite tag team list. I wish a lot more footage existed of them. Hopefully, maybe, more Blackjack can be on the Blackjack cock, if you will, which sounds like a movie I saw online once by mistake. Always delete your search history. But anyway, the Blackjacks should 100% be on a list. I maybe would have ranked them a little bit higher, but it is what it is. Number 22, The Shield. Sierra Hotel Indio Echo Lima Delta Shield. Indio, I'm just going to roll with that. This actually shocks me because I thought they would have been in the top 20. Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Big goddamn impact that they made at Survivor Series 2012. And then, that match they had, that, I believe, TLC match at TLC 2012. And they were tag team champions. Ambrose was the U.S. champion for a while. Rollins and Reigns were the tag team champions. And then Rollins and Ambrose became the tag team champions for a bit. And there was, they made a lot of impact. They really did. After their initial run, they were obviously going to reform at some point. And it was what it was, but it wasn't the same. And it wasn't going to be the same as the first time. It doesn't feel like the first time. But absolutely the Shield should be on here. I mean, are they the best stable the WWE has created? I mean, if you just started watching WWE, I don't know, about 8-9 years ago, sure. They're not even in the top 10, in my opinion. But the Shield were a big goddamn deal, and were a big, they were a big reason why television was memorable, because initially, they meant a lot. And sure, they eventually had to lose and stuff like that, but they meant a lot. And they really, and maybe they broke them up a little bit too soon, but what else could they have done? And the Shield, though, are memorable for a lot of shit they did. Then we go number 21, DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. No, I would have ranked them lower. I know a lot of people like DX. I don't. I always felt DX is overrated. I still feel DX is overrated, but there were a lot of people who liked them. And sure, they formed a team in 2006. Well, one day in 2002, but that was just a backdrop for Triple H to turn on Shawn Michaels. And then they built the whole thing where it turned out that Triple H was the guy that attacked Shawn Michaels, and that led to SummerSlam 2002, pretends to be shocked. But then they, reformed in 2006, and sporadic appearances, and teaming up and everything. Triple H tore his quad. Kevin Nash takes his hat off to him, and then tore his quad, taking the hat off. Man, I feel terrible saying that, but now I can just make the jokes about other people. Anyway, let's move on from the injury talk. After Triple H got injured, Shawn Michaels still had the DX stuff and just kept doing his stuff. And then he took time off for injury. They reformed in 2009, became tag team champions for a little bit, and then broke up when Shawn ended up retiring and never came back. Not for any Saudi Arabian blood mo. He did. He fucking did. Not that he was the only one, but that pretty much wrecked his retirement. But yeah, I'm also shocked they weren't a little bit higher, just given how much they like to stroke the egos of Shawn Michaels and Triple H. But sure, as far as memorable stuff, I can see why they would be on a WWE-centric list. Number 20, the Undisputed Era. Yeah, combined 500 days as tag team champions. They held all the gold, made a lot of impact as a stable. Were they a stable a bit too long? Maybe. I mean, you could argue that, they had done everything, but maybe they could have still done more. Maybe they could have come into the main roster as a stable, but it is what it is. At Undisputed Era, I really can't go over a whole lot of their accolades, because then I'll be covering them as long as they were together, and that'll take, a really, really long time. But yeah, they meant a lot, whether they were heels or tweeners, and they were part of the, various War Games matches. They really did make tremendous impact and were really, really good. So even with Bobby Fish constantly getting injured, because I guess maybe having certain beliefs, maybe doesn't defy medical science and everything. Bobby should probably be smarter. If you know. But they are a good team and deserve to be on here. Number 19, Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas, first African-American tag team champions. That's it. They were a really good athletic tag team, but Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas didn't get along. Maybe because Tony Atlas knew about Rocky Johnson's exploits and all the underage girls that he tried to get with. And if you know, you know. That's kind of why I didn't really feel bad when Rocky Johnson passed away. And I don't feel bad saying that, because you read up enough about this stuff, there's a lot of shit that gets left out in the, history of Rocky Johnson, which sure, people don't want to look in the dark side, on the dark side of the ring. Because Dark Side of the Ring is coming back for the rest of Season 3 in September. Can't fucking wait for that. Though we need to wait until the end of that month to wake up Billy Joel, the lead singer of, Green Day. Anyway, enough of that. Sure, first African-American tag team champions, that was a big goddamn deal. But they then had their fractured relationship and then lost the titles, a number of days later. I don't even think they held them more than a couple months. I don't even know if it's that long. And then Tony Atlas would be a journeyman and stuff like that, and Rocky Johnson would probably go to do more stuff with more underage girls. Piece of shit. Anyway, yeah, good on Tony Atlas. Nothing against him. But goddamn. Anyway, number 18, Mr. Fuji and Toru Tanaka. Toru Tanaka being strong as a goddamn bull. Mr. Fuji, you see footage of them wrestling. It's no wonder the Fuji couldn't fucking wrestle because of how much he bumped and the fact that he took a lot of insane, just hard bumps, because he was dedicated to wrestling and really respected. 3-time tag team champions. Combined 569 days. Nice. And dominant during the 70s. Wrestled like Tony Gurria, Larry Zbyszko, and various other teams. I may need to, hopefully maybe there's more house show stuff that got put up, like when they had their, when the WWE Network had the various house show, filmed house shows up all the way back to the 70s. Hopefully maybe there's some stuff like that up on the cock, if not now, soon. Because who doesn't love some nice 70s cock? Wait, let's move on from that. This team absolutely deserves to be put on there. They were a big part of the WWF success. And no wonder Mr. Fuji was so respected. Tanaka would go on to be in movies like, the Pee-wee movies. And Fuji would be he would be respected and would be made a manager. He wasn't the best manager, but he meant a lot as far as history and great tag team champions. Number 17, the Steiner Brothers. Personally in my top 3. Actually, I argue that. They're in my top 2. LOD, Steiner Brothers. And then possibly Harlem Heat, number 3. Or maybe the Hart Foundation. Harlem Heat are in the top 5, I'll say that. Steiner Brothers, they covered their time in WCW, New Japan, WWE, and then WCW again. And yeah, they were great. They weren't in WWE very long because they didn't let them to be the fucking Steiner Brothers. They wrestled Bo and Blake, the Beverly Brothers. Weird team there. I mean, really good team, but just weird how they made them have weird, purplish tights and stuff like that. But they were a damn good team. The Beverly Brothers are not on this list, but they were quite good in the AWA as well as WWE. The Steiners, I really can't say enough good shit about the Steiners. They were fucking incredible. Great to watch in the ring. They could throw you anywhere, and you were going to go. Whether you wanted to go or not, they were strong as a bull, could throw everybody. Scott Hayden, the fucking Frankensteiner. Rick just, tossing people. Hey, and that Steiner line, just hitting that. I mean, just hitting them with that clothesline. Doing the bark, the dog face gremlin, the Doge face gremlin, much wow. He would do great, and the crowd would pop. The crowd would pop, especially in WCW. You see some of the stuff that they would do, and it was like Iska, and I don't remember who else it was. It was in 91, 92 that they wrestled them. And I want to say it was Wrestle War 90. No, Super Brawl 2. Electric Boogaloo. It was one of the 91, 92 pay-per-views. You have to look at the lineup. Sorry, a lot of wrestling in my head. I remember it was brutal. They wrestled the Nasty Boys at Halloween Havoc 1990. So many memorable matches. And even though their WWE run wasn't great, they were tag team champions. They dropped them to Quebecers. Shortly after the 94 Rumble, they would do house shows and they would leave. But their WCW run, New Japan run, and just total accolades, they should have been ranked a lot higher in my opinion. But as far as their WWE stuff, I'm just glad they got on the list at this point. Now we go to number 16, the Rock and Sock Connection. 3-time tag team champions, barely held the titles for that long, but for entertainment purposes, sure. Again, WWE-centric list. And this is your life, the rivalry they had before this, and then, the various, reunions they would have after that, including at WrestleMania 20. They create a lot of memorable moments. And Mankind talking about, being the people's rear end, which was funny because Mankind can make himself the butt of jokes, ironically, if you'll see what I did there. But yeah, they deserve to be on a list like this. And ranked above the Steiner Brothers, I wouldn't have done it, but as far as memorable stuff they did, I get it. I do get it. Number 15, the Wild Samoans, 3-time tag team champions. They held 21 titles in various territories, and Alpha and Sika, they're scary. They still scare me. They fucking scare me now, and they're in their 200s. I kid, I think they're only in their 80s. But still, they scare me. They're frightening, very, very frightening, but they were great as faces or heel. I mean, they were great as heels, but then it got to the point where the fans were going to cheer them because they were so respected, and they'd been there so long, and you couldn't help but respect what these two Samoan Savage guys could do. And they would get eventually where they would talk, Captain Lou, he is talking to you and talking for you, but they would get to where they showed that they actually had, a side where they actually, weren't just, yelling and, having the chicken bones in their mouth and stuff like that and yelling like crazy, but they were a hell of a goddamn tag team. Great brawlers and great in the WWF day, and actually were the team that dropped the tag titles to Rocky Johnson, the guy that commits minor offenses, and Tony Atlas. Tony Atlas, keep these two away from each other. God, I can't help but think of that line. Anyway, the Wild Samoans deserve to be on here. Number 14, the Rockers, WWE Tag Team Champions. Well, they finally recognized that it happened. I mean, granted, it was a Saturday Night's Main Event taping where they could have fixed the fucking ropes and then edited it, but they didn't do that, and they didn't have the Rockers recognized as tag team champions, even if they lost them at the Rumble, at the 91 Rumble. And then the Hart Foundation could have just won them back there. And then they could have dropped, or you could have just had the Hart Foundation against the Orient Express, and and then you could have had the Rockers losing to Demolition, because Demolition didn't win. It was the Nasty Boys who won them. Demolition's a little bit later on this list. Could have done something, but they didn't do that, and their title change was never recognized. They were also two-time AWA Tag Team Champions. And as far as innovation and the excitement they brought to the goddamn ring, they were great in the dying days of the AWA, because, sweet Christ, was some of that show really fucking hard to watch. I mean, I watched some mid-80s AWA programming, including Battle by the Bay, or Battle of the Bay. No, Battle by the Bay. And Wrestling for a Cure, and you can check that out in the Retro Reviews playlist and hear me just gush about the fact that they include the original commercials from the master tape. The Rockers were fucking tremendous. Really, really fucking tremendous. I love watching the Rockers. It was great to see them have a reunion in 2005, and hopefully Mario Jannetty can stop being absolutely drugged up and shit. But they were a great tag team. Number 13, the Mega Powers. Only because Hulk Hogan just couldn't stand the fact that Randy fucking Savage was always better than Hulk Hogan. You got lust in your eyes for Elizabeth. Look, for star power, I get it. I do get it, and it was a big deal. Let's be honest, it was only done because Hogan just couldn't stand that Randy Savage was the champion and wanted to hog the spotlight and then turn on him. Because Hogan was the heel in that feud. No one will convince me otherwise. And even though they tried to make Savage the heel, and Savage would eventually lose the championship to Hogan, and then that would be it. And I know they only did a few pay-per-views, but seriously, Savage never got to defend it on a goddamn pay-per-view. Not SummerSlam, not Survivor Series, not at the 1990 Rumble. Wait, no, 89 Rumble. Sorry, I mixed up my years there. He didn't get to defend. He got to defend it on Saturday Night's Main Event and stuff like that, which was a big deal, and on house shows. But come on, Savage deserved. In my opinion, he should have held it till SummerSlam '89. Should have found a way to escape with it, and then drop it to Hogan, because did Hogan need another year-long reign? No, he didn't. This is turning to a dumping phase on Hogan, which is fun to do, because he still hasn't apologized for what he fucking said. He only apologized for for getting caught. Be careful what you say on cameras, brother. No, it's not an apology, Hulk. Anyway, yeah, great star power team. Number 12, the Valiant Brothers. Jimmy Valiant, Johnny Valiant. Okay, so Luscious Johnny would become a manager, and Jimmy Valiant would be the Boogie Woogie Man, go absolutely insane. But before that, they were a mainstay in the 1970s, Hall of Fame inductees in 1996. But man, this fucking team was something else. And I mean, Jimmy Valiant, you couldn't help but love him. He was great as a heel, but man, how over he was in the Carolinas. I mean, I rewatched some of the stuff in the Carolinas. And even at the state of, having been in wrestling for 20 plus years, he still got big reactions, and they fucking loved him. And they loved him in New York, too. Because how could you not love Jimmy Valiant? But yeah, him and John were a hell of a goddamn team. They were really good. They were hated heels. But again, you couldn't help but respect them. And they should be on anybody's tag team list. Of greatest tag teams list. If they're on your worst tag team list, you have no taste. I'm sorry. Everybody's got different tastes. Then, number 11, Demolition. Here comes the ass, here comes the snatcher. I may have misunderstood those lyrics, but yes, tag team championship matches at 4, 5, and 6 for Mania. Heel, or it's face, heel, face. It was really weird. Well, actually, let's see. They won from Strikeforce, and then would lose them after 478 days. They would win them back in, at Mania 6. They would be 3-time tag team champions. And, yeah, you had Bill Eadie as Axe, and then you had Barry Darsow as Smash. And, yeah, how could you not appreciate what Demolition do? They just missed out on the top 10. And I know what the top 10 is. I personally would have put them in the top 10 and bumped one of the other people down. Just my opinion. But they absolutely, in fact, actually, I know exactly what fucking team I would have bumped out. Oh, you didn't know? That's a little bit of a teaser for later. But Demolition deserved to be mentioned here because even though they were really only together for a few years, they broke up in like early 91 once Bill Eadie had to retire and they had Bryan Adams as Crush. Smash and Crush had some staying power, but not enough. People got too used to Bill Eadie, and even though his injuries and he had to basically retire, from full-time, even though he would make sporadic appearances, even as recently as a couple of years ago, he left, and then the team eventually dissolved because Vince McMahon stopped caring about tag team wrestling for some reason, even though it was really, really good. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Top 10 coming up. I don't know about this weekend. We will see. I've got a lot of shit to watch. Quick plug here if you're still watching, because by God, you guys, I really appreciate if you watch to the end. Money in the Bank review from 2011, that retro review will be up Saturday evening. I'll probably watch that in two parts. Probably watch some, one, either before Saturday or just watch all of it and just be really, really blitz tired. And then I'm going to have, a couple movie reviews dropping on Friday. Anyway, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.